WWE counter-programming AEW. Tony Khan was asked about this at the post-show media scrum, and it was very short, a very short response. He basically said, the last time this happened was Jim Crockett. He loves saying the name Jim Crockett.
Jim Crockett Productions.
Which Jim Crockett is a great name.
It is. And
he said, but this is going to turn out a lot different than that, referencing the fact that Tony Khan has access to like $1 billion.
Yeah.
So now, what is it? Great American Bash is going to be going on directly against, but this time directly against Double or Nothing was Battleground, like it ran at the same time. I know you're not on social media, and I'm like 90% off of social media. Like I hop on Twitter like once a day just to get a feel for stuff. I haven't personally noticed like one being detrimental to the other or any particular effectiveness. What's your take on WWE counter-programming AEW? From a business perspective, do you think it's doing anything?
No, I don't think it's doing anything. And if anything, it's lending more credence to the idea that AEW is actually competition to WWE because WWE is actively programming against it. If they just let AEW go about their business, they'll be doing 600,000-700,000 a week for Dynamite. They'll get 100,000 for pay-per-view numbers, and they'll probably sell 25,000 tickets for All In. That's it. That's like the space that AEW is going to occupy unless they like really find the formula to kick things up a notch.
Yeah.
Until then, that's it. That's their core audience, and they are not really doing anything to actively trying to grow that core audience. So I don't really see an upside in terms of from a business perspective, counter-programming all of AEW's pay-per-views, especially when it's NXT.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I'll say this. Neither of us obviously have access to whatever metrics either company uses to, whatever. What the hell? Geez, that cat's strong. That cat just whacked my door open.
Through that door like Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, meow.
But like, I don't know, just like the little amount of internet wrestling community that I have experienced over the past 48 hours. Okay, dude, I can't get up and play now. Has been like, I don't know, like, hey, wow, AEW did great. NXT did great. Like, if anything, it's sort of like, it seems like it would diminish NXT more than anything, because it's like, I don't know, if you put NXT on pay-per-view, I have a hard time believing it's going to do 100,000.
Yeah.
AEW has that model that they've gone to, and Double or Nothing was kind of the show that everybody was talking about. At least in in the orbit that we pay attention to, much of which is sort of just us. But like, when I hop on, like, I'll say this. I'll actually say this. In our Friendo Club video, there was a comment that, and I actually kind of appreciate. I would rather hear what the IWC is saying via our Friendos, because somebody was like, I'm surprised that you guys sort of underrated Double or Nothing against what like the IWC was saying. And I'm like, I'm not tuned into that. So I'm not really, neither of us are really influenced by that. And I think at a certain point I probably was, because I was much more tuned in, and I was like, okay, well, I can hear a bunch of different sides. Now, for better or worse, it's just pure us.
Yeah.
And so, and I guess people were highly rating, they were like, oh, this is, and I actually, a sentiment that I saw in the Wrestle Juice Hot Takes thing for Double or Nothing was like, this is the best AEW pay-per-view either in a while or like ever. It was really well paced, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's interesting because that was the sentiment that I got. Meanwhile, WWE is waiting for AEW to program, and then, hey, let's throw NXT to the wolves instead of, hey, let's find a date that NXT can have the entire collective audience attention.
Thrive on its own rather than using it to chip away at AEW. Yeah, that doesn't, I mean, that kind of speaks to how NXT is seen by the executives at Titan Towers, or whatever they call the new offices now. Hey, this is our means by which we can maybe chip away at AEW's audience a little bit.
Let's just throw them to the wolves.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and try to chip away. And so I don't know, it comes off as kind of weak. It's like, I don't know. I just think it's really silly. And on top of that, it's like, I've seen a lot of clips coming out of Battleground, and much of it looks very good. But there's still an element that it's like AEW does. I mean, it's hard not to say objectively when it comes to the in-ring stuff. That's where AEW thrives.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
I don't know how anybody could argue to the contrary. Honestly, in good faith, you know what I mean?
Right, in good faith, right. And so it's like, honestly, it's like, how can you even compare? So it's like you put the Battleground on, and it's like, I appreciate NXT for what it is, but it's not the best place for the in-ring stuff, and it's kind of not even close.
Yeah.
So it's like all you're really doing is putting them up side by side and being like, hey, what looks better?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's bizarre to me that NXT is just not given a chance to really fulfill its potential because they're just using it as fodder against AEW.
Yeah. And, the Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams for the TNA World Championship just a few years ago, you wouldn't even think that'd be a possibility that a TNA title would be defended on a WWE program, much less a WWE wrestler winning the TNA Championship. You give that show, that match, its own weekend, really hype that.
Yeah.
All right. That's an event.
Yeah.
Instead of using something that should be an event to counter program whatever AEW is doing. Yeah, they're really selling NXT short in that regard.
TakeOver used to be the show that would steal the weekend against the WWE main roster show. And now it's like, well, it's just being used against AEW, and it's like, I don't know. I honestly have no clue whatsoever what the crossover audience is between AEW and NXT writ large. Like I can maybe speculate by going to the IWC, but at the same time, that I feel is not a good sample size to look at.
No.
And so I have no idea who's watching both NXT and AEW. I suppose we could run a poll, in our community, but even our community is a bit skewed because of how we approach AEW. We're not completionists with AEW. And we barely tolerate NXT. So it's like, maybe it's the perfect sample size. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
But I don't know. It is interesting to see them, like, I don't know. It's like you're just kind of selling, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they should consider throwing like the first big Evolve premium live event at AEW instead, because I think it'd be great to let these people who are on NXT do their thing.
Yeah,
like get the floor themselves.
I mean, if WWE is like really into the idea, and this is not a standpoint that I endorse by any stretch of the imagination. The more thriving wrestling promotions there are in the industry, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah, no,
I don't want a wrestling monopoly. It's the last thing I want. But if WWE is really intent on trying to chip away at AEW, like, why aren't they booking main roster premium live events opposite AEW shows? You know what I mean?
Know. Because they don't want to be embarrassed.
Exactly.
They're okay with NXT being embarrassed, potentially.
Yeah,
and that's not even
if they have I don't know, a B-level pay-per-view opposite Full Gear, and Full Gear is 4 hours of awesome wrestling, and on the B-level pay-per-view you get like 2 matches that are above 3.25 stars. Yeah. WWE show is going to get roasted.
Hey, let's watch this 5-minute banger, fucking in between Morgan and Morgan ads.
Yeah, exactly.
So
gosh, if they program the Saturday night's main event opposite an AEW pay-per-view.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah.
Be more wrestling and 2 matches on the AEW show than would be the entire Saturday night's main event.
Yeah. Yeah. See, look at that. We got today's Friendo Club video done, Larson.
Bang. Efficiency.
Nice.
Sorry, Chet. We got to get started here.
Yeah, we got to get started.
Apologies. Hold on.
I got to close my door.
Subs here real quick. D. Kyle with some bits. There's some bits from D. Kyle and Scooter. Sorry, couldn't get to it. Luis as well. Jack Showtime with the sub. Thank you so much. All right, we'll get the bits in get the sub in there.
All right.
Ow. Oh, that's right. Pontus Olsen that says, isn't Saturday night's main event on the 12th? It is. That is opposite Holland.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So they got two WWE shows opposite, don't they? It's like it's like Evolution that day?
Evolution Sunday.
Oh, that's Sunday.
But I think Great American Bash is earlier on Saturday.
Oh God. Okay.
It's too much.